Hello everyone, welcome to the stream and happy Tolkien Reading Day to you all. Thank you for tuning in after a long absence of mine here on this channel. And welcome everybody, welcome Baldur's Fate, nice to see you, Theologus, Cola Valkyrie, Rosemary is also here. Happy Gondorian New Year. Wrong. The Bionic, nice to see you. Genetosaurus 4500, I think. Yeah, I've returned. And Pumpkin Rig, also nice to see you here as well. Mary, also nice to see you. Long time no see for some of you, I have to admit. Though Baldur's Fate and also Rosemary we saw quite a bit. Alexis, also welcome. Nice to see you as well. It's been a while, Chris. It definitely has been a while, unfortunately. But yeah, it's kind of interesting in this regard that I actually did a lot of stuff recently, but it was very focused on my German channel currently. So there went a lot of time in. And I don't know, I kind of needed a little change of things, if that makes sense. Why are we talking about Harry Potter now? Don't worry, Time Lord. We will stay focused on Lord of the Rings today. But yeah, I needed to. I don't know. It was another project. I needed a different project, and it was so much fun working on the German YouTube, on the German Twitch channel and stuff. That I don't know. Time just flew by. Some other things happening in my life and so on. So as a result, I don't know, I kind of neglected this channel a bit, which is very unfortunate, and I'm very happy that you're still here and still supporting me and so on. That's very nice of you people, even though there was not much content recently here on this channel. But I thought, okay, today's Tolkien Reading Day, I have to do something, right? I have this Lord of the Rings channel, so maybe I should show up here. And here I am, and I hope we can talk a little bit about Tolkien and his fantastic lore. Little cleanse from Harry Potter talk. Okay, let's not go into this direction, chat. Let's not go there. But yeah, it's fantastic to see all you people here just showing up. Could have scheduled this stream here and maybe give you a notification ahead of time that something would be present here on this channel. But I did not do this because I kind of thought, should I really do a stream today? I'm not sure. I don't know, you know, a bit. I lost a bit of motivation with my own channel, to be fair. I think it's the weather getting better. I love getting outside instead. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how your interest or ideas or, I don't know, stuff you want to do could kind of shift over time. Interestingly, Rosemary found my German Twitch channel and she speaks German very well, so she often joins there, and as a result, we have seen here, we have seen each other in the chat quite some times, on these other streams I usually do, and yeah, I don't know, it's also going quite well on the other channel, I have to admit. Like, I put a lot of time. I met a lot of people I would not have met without that channel and so on. I feel far more connected to the community in my sphere of games I play there and so on. So that's interesting. It often was like a bit isolated here because some of the other dudes I used to collaborate with also stopped doing their channels, like Voice of Geekdom, aka Dan, always enjoyed my streams with him and so on and so forth. So it's also not like a lot of stuff is going on currently. Then we have, I don't know, we had Rings of Power, which I covered quite extensively here on this channel, and it was a bit better than Season 1, but Season 2 was also still not there where people wanted to be. of the Rohirrim I kind of liked, but I felt like the reception of it was also kind of mixed. There was not like an absolute, let's call it a banger that people could agree on, yeah, that's awesome, Lord of the Rings is back or something. So there was stuff going on. As far as I'm aware, I've not talked to Dan for Voice of Geekdom for quite some time, unfortunately. I think he should be fine. I think he moved to Canada or something. So, and then I guess his life and so on took a turn and he's focusing now on other stuff. But as far as I'm aware, he should be fine. I hope he's fine, actually. Was a awesome person to collaborate with and talk and discuss Tolkien with. So I enjoyed this. But yeah, he has also not done stuff in quite some time. And yeah, I don't know. I need to find ways to find the balance. I'm very bad with balance. Oh, Matt Cole's nice to see you. I still haven't seen War of the Rohirrim. Yeah, in this regard, it's also on top of that, my YouTube channel is just strange. Like currently, a lot of gaming videos on my Lord of the Rings channel, which I did years ago, still click quite well. Lord of the Rings content also a bit in between, but it's kind of always strange that what videos do well and so on. But yeah, I'm actually still live. Oh, Tears are also nice to see you. And Storyteller and so on. It's so glad that you people are still there. But yeah, I don't know. I was very busy the last things. Lord of the Rings gaming. Unfortunately, there are not that many Lord of the Rings games out there. There will be Tales of the Shire. Let me just check Tales of the Shire. Unfortunately, it's not a game that I'm vastly interested in. I could imagine that a lot of people might enjoy it, but it's not like it's the game I'm looking forward to be honest. Not because it's Lord of the Rings or anything. It's just a very cozy game, and I usually don't play cozy games. It will be, yeah, it was moved to 29th of July 2025, so I hope it will be good and that the people who might enjoy this. No, I'm also not playing Lord of the Rings online. Currently, the games I'm playing currently are Elden Ring, and a bit more of Elden Ring, and a bit of Dark Souls, a bit of Cyberpunk. That's, I think, what I'm playing currently. Did I forget anything, chat? We might also play First Berserker Kazan next on Thursday or something. So that will also be another collaboration I have on Thursday. Whatever. It was fantastic, some stuff we did. We had like around Christmas we had a charity Elden Ring event where small Twitch streamers organized, or small Twitch streamer organized it. And we made we're just doing some challenge stuff. So in this case it was called Elden Ring Bingo, where you have to certain tasks you have to fulfill. Then you get a field, and there's a field where the tasks are listed on, like a bingo field, and you have to get a bingo, or who has the most fields at the end, made the most tasks in a certain amount of time, wins. We did something like that, and we raised, I think, 1,000 euros for a charity organization in Germany. And that was pretty awesome, to be honest. I was quite kind of proud of that we did something like this and could contribute to that. So that's pretty awesome. Stuff like that. And I don't know, just in this Dark Souls games, Elden Ring community, I'm currently doing a lot of stuff. So that's very enjoyable, I have to admit. And that is kind of a reason I often lose a bit track of this channel here. But I feel like I often think, well, I have to do something, and then I say, I'll do it next week. And then the week is over, and think, I'll do it next week. Then another week is over. And now it's like, I know, 3 months, and I did last something here. No, it's not. It's actually 3 months, right? 2 months? No, it's 2 months. I think the last stream was on January, right? I'm not sure. It was a long time ago. I'm so sorry that you people didn't get at least one stream a month. But Yeah, this time in January, I think, where I did every week I did a stream in January. So that was 31st January was the last stream I did here. But yeah, and then my obsession with Elden Ring went on, and Twitch German streaming went on, and then suddenly it's 2 months later. I'm not sure where these 8 weeks went on, but yeah, I was unfortunately doing content. It's kind of the problem with doing your stuff like now in 2 different languages. There's this language barrier in between, and I can't do both, and it's very difficult if you want to grow one thing, to work on one thing, then find the time for the other. Oh yeah, I've heard about that as well, Pumpkin Rig. But in general, I have to admit, I really neglect YouTube. Like, I also have an English games channel, and I have content actually ready. I just would need to do some stuff for it. But I also don't upload there. It's sad. But it's kind of, currently I've really struggled with finding the motivation doing the YouTube stuff, because the streaming stuff's just so much more fun for me currently. So, and I don't know, I did lore content for like 6-7 years. Sometimes you need, I don't know, a little change of pace. I have to go home to be back soon. Okay, I hope to be back soon. Okay, Rosemary, have a nice evening, and potentially see you later. We still love you. Thank you. Much appreciated. A Balrog fighting game would be my pitch for Lord of the Rings. That's actually funny. I think last thing we did was about the Rohirrim movie. Let me just. I think we had a normal lore Q&A last. We had like the War of the Rohirrim thing was 21st of December. I did a very long stream. It popped up in the other streams. Let me just see could I bring this to the screen for you to see? Is this possible? Yeah, of course it's possible. I just need a moment. pphgames.com. Let's see if my domain still works. It works. It does not work as much as I. Why does it not work? Connection refused. Okay, that is interesting. I have to look into this. Why does the domain doesn't work? And we just go to YouTube. Oh god. Too stupid to spell YouTube correctly. So production. Let me get production working. One moment, chat. It just is a matter of ages. View capture, window capture. Okay, so there it is. So yeah, this was the War of the Rohirrim stream 3 months ago, and then we had the watch party for the last film, Return of the King, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now the 6th lore Q&A stream, which I did then in January every week. I did at one phase where I really tried to do a weekly lore Q&A stream to kind of make up for my lack of video material on this channel, even though I think on the last video I made was definitely War of the Rohirrim though. So there's that. Do you believe Balrogs could fly? Well, this question I've so many times. Take the philosopher. Looking for fantasy RPGs, Tainted Grail follows Avallona's coming out or early access this year. Okay, interesting. Maybe Skyrim clone. Okay, that sounds not bad for... I have to look into that. But to be honest, the next game on my list is of course Elden Ring Night Rain. It comes a new Elden Ring kind of game. It's interesting. There's no interesting upcoming cinema movie in the next 9 months. I hope there will be at last some announcement. Yeah. There was a D&D fighting game. I know how it was called. Lore question. Did Sauron ever take a dwarf form? To my knowledge, no, to answer it very quickly. I think I'm not aware that Sauron ever did this. Oh, it wasn't. It was a PlayStation 1 or Sega Saturn era. There must be some way. I'm just joking. Okay. I know. Why does have cutlery? What story would you like to be adapted in the movie theater? I would choose the battle of with Ankalagon the Black from the Silmarillion. That's a good choice. I think I would like the story of Beren and Luthien, maybe. That would be... I'm not sure if it would be though good for movies or if you would need multiple films or whatever. I'm not sure. Or maybe also, if we stay Lord of the Rings book, then because that's more realistic for an adaptation, then I would say I would definitely like to see the story of Angmar, so the war against Angmar and stuff of this time. Yeah, I did interestingly. There was one comment here by Timberlord. No question. Why do werewolves in that one story appear, I assume, and then never appear again? What happened to them? Interestingly, we have this video here I made. One of the last videos that was not show or film related was the lore question. Of walks and werewolves, I called it. What are the differences between them? Are there differences between walks and werewolves? It was a bit unconclusive, the answer, but it potentially goes into what you want to know, I assume. So the conclusion was the description or the definition from the books, like both are somewhat demonic wolf entities. As a result, you could argue they may be the same. It was a bit different to figure out what the exact differences between orcs and werewolves were. However, interestingly, as was mentioned before here by a Bionicle fan, I think, if we go into Lord of the Rings, the book, there is one mention in the whole book of werewolves. It also appears though in the index of the book, but it's to be expected. Because the horses, there was a question, then why do these black horses endure such riders, the Nazgul? And they're talking about the horses of the Nazgul. All other animals are terrified when they draw near, even the elf horse of Glorfindel. The dogs howl and the geese scream at them. Because these horses are born and bred to the service of the Dark Lord in Mordor. Not all his servants and chattels are race. There are orcs and trolls, there are wargs and werewolves, and there have been and still are many there have been and still are many men, warriors and kings that walk alive under the sun and yet are under his sway, and their number is growing daily. So here I think the answer is given by Gandalf, if I remember this dialogue here correctly. It's interesting that Tolkien explicitly mentions werewolves in this particular quote here, walks and werewolves to be precise. So here it seems there seems to be some kind of difference, if that makes sense, even though it is potentially hard to distinguish between both of them. And werewolves, besides this particular quote, never reappear in the story. Walks do all the time in Lord of the Rings, but werewolves do not. So as a result, the conclusion could be, yeah, they are maybe it's like the same, or maybe there's a small difference or whatever, or maybe there's such a small difference between of them that when werewolves appear, they still call them walks and say, yeah, that is a walk, even though it was a werewolf. I don't know exactly. Werewolves always also welcome Mart. Nice to see you. Guten Abend. Mark, nice to see you as well. One day Amazon will call you and ask you for advice. I'm not sure if that will ever happen. The sarcastic me would say, well, Amazon doesn't care about law accuracy anyway in many cases, so why would they call me? And there are bigger experts on Lord of the Rings than me anyway, so potentially they would call those. Guess the werewolves could be just walks that have been exaggerated and are mythologized. Yeah. Werewolves always link them with shape-shifting at night, yes. So here, I mean, the were in part of werewolves is, in Old English, is a word for men. So it's man-wolf, basically. Just kidding. I'm not sure they shapeshift in Middle-earth. No, they don't shapeshift. I mean, the vampire maybe does. Like we have Thorin Wizir in the Silmarillion. I guess she could shapeshift. And we have the shapeshifter Beorn, but that's, I guess, something completely different. Or maybe distantly related, who knows. I mean, Sauron himself also shapeshifts. Do you think Morgoth was jealous of other Valar created life, like dwarves and Ents, but he couldn't create anything? That's not 100% correct. The others could also not create. Like, Aule tried to create life, and he failed with it. And then he basically made puppets, so to say. And then Eru adopted these puppets, and he basically gave them spirits, and then they had a will of their own. And then they were adopted towards the children of Ilúvatar, so to say. But the spirit part of the dwarves was not made by Aule. And the Ents were not made by Yavanna. They were also these trees, and there were, it seems, Eru sent spirits from afar. It's often, I think, how it's called in the law. And they possessed those spirits, and they became. Maybe we can try. I can try to find this passage, but I often struggle finding it simply because I don't know how it was worded exactly. I think here it might be. Then Manwë awoke and went down to Yavanna upon Iselohar, and he sat beside her beneath the two trees. And Manwë said, O Kementari, Eru has spoken, saying, do then any of the Valar suppose that I did not hear all the song, even the last sound of the last voice? Behold, when the children awake, then the sword of Yavanna will awake also, and it will summon spirits from afar, and they will go among the Kelvar and the Olvar, and some will dwell therein and be held in reverence, and their just anger shall be feared for a time, while the firstborn are in their power, and while the secondborn are young. But dost thou not now remember, Kimintari, that thy sword sang not always alone? Did not thy thought and mine meet also, so that we took wing together like great birds that soar above the clouds? And yeah, then there is the dialogue between Aule and Manwe. Let us see. Nay, said he, only the trees of Aule will be tall enough. In the mountains the eagles shall house and hear the voices of those who call upon us. But in the forest shall walk the shepherds of the trees. Then Manwe and Yavanna parted for that time, and Yavanna returned to Aule, and he was in his smithy, pouring molten metal into a mold. Eru is bountiful, she said. Now let thy children beware, for there shall walk a power in the forest, whose wrath they will arouse at their peril. Nonetheless, they will have need for wood, said Aule, and he went on with his smith work. So this is from the Silmarillion of Aule and Yavanna, is a chapter called, and it's kind of interesting. Like, there's a discussion between them that basically the plants and trees are not protected from the children, and so on and so forth. And then this little story here unfolds. So yeah, the shepherds were not definitely, the spirits of them were not created by Yavanna, but by Eru himself, and he sent these spirits from afar. That was kind of the point I was trying to make here. Coming back to the original question. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting details in Tolkien's writings like these. The talk between Manwe and Aule, I did imagine going like this. Aule, another of your followers has gone to the dark side. Really? Yeah. It's kind of fascinating that Saruman and Sauron were once servants of Aule. And both, well, we know the story, right? Lore about vampires. There's also, there's not too much said about vampires. It's still like in early versions, Tolkien mentioned those, and it's just, I don't know, Thorin could Sauron yielded himself, and Lucien took the mastery of the isle and all that was there, and Huan released him, and immediately he, Sauron, took the form of a vampire, great as a dark cloud across the moon, and he fled dripping blood from his throat upon the trees, and came to Tower Nufuin, and dwelt there, filling it with horror. Then there's another mention of Thuringwizil. Further, he turned aside therefore at Sauron's Isle as they ran northward again, and he took thence the ghastly Wolfheim of Drauglin, and the bed fell of and the bed fell of Thuringwizil. She was the messenger of Sauron and was wont to fly in vampire's form to Angband, and her great-fingered wings were barbed at each joint's end with an iron claw. Clad in these dreadful garments, Huan and Luthien ran through Tower Nufuin, and all things fled before them. Yes, I have to mention that Thuringwizil, which was also, I think, slain. Her bed fell was kind of used to gave them this disguise. And what's interesting, she was the messenger of Sauron and was wont to fly in vampire's form to Angband. So it says she's not a vampire. She took vampire form to fly to Angband, if that makes sense. Did Eru put spirits into the dragons? That's kind of the theory, I think. Now, when it comes to werewolves and walks, I can recommend my video, because first of all, it's so long ago that I also don't know the exact quotes anymore. I've just forgot them, and but they're definitely in the video, so that might help you getting some answers here and there. But no, Morgoth was he jealous? Maybe, I'm not sure if it was pure jealousy when it comes to Morgoth's motives, but Morgoth definitely wanted to create, like, he looked down on the others, I guess, and he wanted to create his own order, his own creation, and it should be independent of the others, and especially potentially even independent of Eru Ilúvatar. And somebody said he kind of, like, there's an interesting text in Morgoth's Ring that talks about that he was such a good liar that he could even lie to himself. And because obviously he knew that Eru Ilúvatar is almighty, like he has no chance against him. But he kind of could convince himself that I think I found it. Maybe not. Let me just double check. Measureless as were the region of air, yet in the beginning where he could have been master of all that was done, for there were many of the Ainur of the song willing to follow him and serve him if he called. Still he was not content, and he sought ever for Arda and Manwe his brother, begrudging him the kinship. Small thought, and his Manwe his brother begrudging him the kingship. That's my mistake. Now it makes more sense. Small though it might seem to his desire and his potency, for he knew that to that kingship Ilúvatar designed to give the highest royalty in air, and under the rule of that throne to bring forth the children of God. And in his thought which deceived him, for the liar shall lie unto himself, he believed that over the children he might hold absolute sway and be unto the same sole lord and master as he could not be to spirits of his own kind, however subservient to himself. For they knew that the one is and must assent to Melkor's rebellion of their own choice, whereas he purposed to withhold from the children this knowledge and be forever a shadow between them and the light. Too many results, chat. The dragon question we maybe come to in a moment. Very tough questions today again. What was the other question? Also, so we are living in the 7th age of Middle Earth now, correct? I'm not sure if it's the 7th age, but technically, yes, we live post the 4th age, that I can tell. I'm not sure how you would count the ages to come to 7, but maybe, yes. So the idea originally of Tolkien was that basically Middle Earth is in our world, but it's in the mythological past. So it's the mythological version of our world, and at some point all the mythological aspects like elves and dwarves vanish over time, only men are left, and then in the Silmarillion we had like the story of a guy called Elfwine, und Elfwine, also known as Ereol, managed to sail to Amman over the Strait Road, and he visited Tol Eressëa, and there he learned the law basically from the elves and brought it back to our time. He was like an Anglo-Saxon lord or potentially even king, and then he returned and brought the knowledge back to our world. It was kind of the original idea. No, interesting. But yeah, as a further welcome to you people, of course, as well. We can look into the letters. I don't find, at least in the letters, the word 7th age. Okay, maybe have to search for whole words here. I would actually suspect it to be more in the later letters, I guess, or 50s or something. Okay, I think I found it. Luckily, I found it. It is in letter. Oh, it's in the famous one. It's in letter 211 to Rona Bear. And it's not directly in the letter text itself, it's in footnote to the letter 6. According to my version, it's a 6th footnote in this letter. I imagine, or let's first of all read the sentence where the footnote appear. I could have fitted things in with greater verisimilitude, I'm not even sure what it means, if the story had not become too far developed before the question ever occurred to me. I doubt if there would have been much gain, and I hope the evidently long but undefined gap in time between fall of Barad-dûr and our days is sufficient for literary credibility, even for readers acquainted with what is known or surmised of prehistory. I think there were multiple questions. Color of the Wizards. But yeah, he had like a very long letter with a lot of questions to Tolkien, and he answered most of those. And in footnote 6, now we come to the footnote 6, which I just read you the section where footnote 6 appears. He says basically, I doubt if there would have been much gain, and I hope the evidently long but undefined gap, footnote 6, in time between the fall of Barad-dûr and our days is sufficient for literary credibility. And footnote 6 reads like this. I imagine the gap to be about 6,000 years. That is, we are now at the end of the 5th age, if the ages were about the same length as 2nd age and 3rd age, but they have, I think, quickened, and I imagined we're actually at the end of the 6th age or in the 7th. I think we can forgive him that he didn't have a plan for the next 5,000 years. Yeah, potentially. Is there any info on the Nazgul Kamul, and where did Tolkien even mention his name? Yes, there is a mention. It is mentioned in Unfinished Tales. I can read you the section in a moment. Let's finish this other question. I have a random question in the Hobbit when Bilbo is listening what he remembers about Gandalf. He says, the luck of widow sons. Is it too early to refer to Aragorn? Well, that's a good question. First of all, welcome the Fox. I need to see the context of that to potentially be even able to answer this. Not sure if I can answer you the question exactly. It might take me some research on my own too. I don't find it in The Hobbit, unfortunately. Can you post me the exact sentence? If that helps, then maybe we can look into it. Hankes, why do you hate me so much to ask me such a question? I mean, it's such a complex situation and so on and so forth. I think world-class diplomats are working on this for ages and it's never really resolved. It's a long conflict that goes for decades. I think I can't give you an answer to this question. I'm not qualified for that. I'm too stupid for that, to be honest. I don't have enough information and I don't know how Aragorn would handle that particular situation. Aragorn might be suited for this. To maybe be wise enough to find a solution or whatever, but I guess the true answer to this question, there might not be an ideal solution here. So the question is, which not ideal solution would Aragorn side towards? And I don't know. I can't speak for Aragorn here. Yeah, there was another. Wait, maybe I have a note for the other question. We're kind of skipping questions back and forth here, but sorry for that. I don't make a note here, unfortunately. I would love to bring you there's I think another quote where it's about Melkor lying to himself. It's definitely mistransformed somewhere, I think. Well, it could also be earlier, to be honest. We had this question in a previous stream. I forgot exactly. Okay. The Wolf Hunt, welcome. Nice to see you. We're currently discussing complex lore things here. Not the fellow who used to tell such wonderful tales at parties or drinks. Okay, let me just see the Hobbit. A lot of things you do use good morning for, said Gandalf. Now you mean that you wanted to get rid of me and that it won't be good till I move off? Not at all, my dear sir. Let me see. I don't think I know your name. Yes, my dear sir, and I do know your name, Mr. Bilbo Baggins. And you do know my name, though you don't remember that I belong to it. I'm Gandalf. And Gandalf means me. To think that I should have lived to be good morninged by Belladonna Took's son, as if I was selling buttons at the door. Gandalf? Good gracious me, not the wandering wizard that gave old Took a pair of magic diamond studs that fastened themselves and never came undone till ordered. Not the fellow who used to tell such wonderful tales at parties about dragons and goblins and giants, and the rescue of princesses and unexpected luck of widow sons. That's an interesting that you mention. That's an interesting question you ask here, because Aragorn is a widow's son. I'm not sure when Aragorn was first mentioned, though. Or if this is like does somebody in chat have an idea what Bilbo could mean here? I'm also not sure why I didn't find the thing when I said. Maybe I have an idea. Aragorn, Atlantis, Asgard, Aragorn. Arathorn. He had previously a different name. Okay. Originally suggested name for Gandalf's horse. That's actually funny. Aragorn is in book 3. That is very early, to be honest. Of the history of Middle-earth stuff, that's the Lace of Beleriand. In the second part of the second version, the major innovation is of course the introduction of the story of Beren and Luthien, told to Túrin by his guardian Harlock, when they were lost in the forest, at once reminiscent of Aragorn's telling of the same story to his companions on Weathertop before the attack of the Ring Wraith, Fellowship of the Ring, and so on and so forth, and with further introduction of the poem Light as Leaf on Linden Tree, the original form of the very song that Aragorn chanted on Weathertop. We realize that one scene is actually the precursor of the other. Compare the end of the song. Aragorn, okay, it's just about the song here. Aragorn said that it was brought to Middle-earth by the Minorians. Interesting. Otherwise, he appears much later, so name might have appeared later. I'm not sure if he means if this references to Aragorn. If Aragorn was still already on Tolkien's mind at this particular time here. Are you online on Twitch right now? Yes, I'm on the English channel on Twitch right now, Wolfhund. Because, yeah, the German channel makes no sense to stream my English stuff to the German channel. I thought about it for a moment, but I said, well, can't always stream to the German channel, right? Okay, welcome back, Murray. Okay, it's kind of interesting that he used in the protests the Lord of the Rings symbolism or terms. It could be also Túrin, yeah, you might be right. It could be the story of Túrin. It could be Hmm. Thank you for the follow. Found it. Nice. Bravery, she was no. First off, the Edain had to flee from the homes. Imeldir finally led them, and after many hardship, they reached Brazil. Because of this bravery, she was known as Imeldir the Man-Hearted. Imeldir was the mother of Beren, and Barahir died, so she was a widow. It could also reference then to Beren in the story here. Like, interesting that a lot of widow sons in Tolkien's lore, if you think about it. And the Germans vibing the English channel. Some might actually, some not so much. Not all are that deep into my Lord of the Rings lore stuff. So, I don't know. It's complicated, I guess. Yeah, that's also true, and there are also important protests going on in the world right now. So what was the other question, chat? There was another question I found interesting. I'm not sure, I can't, like, the fox, it's an interesting idea. It might be possible. It's currently very difficult for me to say when Tolkien first came up with the character of Aragorn. I can only just say to all the people protesting against suppression and stuff like this, all the best of luck. Yeah, I'm glad you like Twitch so much. But like I said, for live streams, I think Twitch is a fantastic platform and versus YouTube. YouTube works as well. I guess for these kinds of streams, it's also... I think these lore discussion streams potentially don't work that well on YouTube, to be honest. But I don't know. On Twitch, I mean, maybe are better for YouTube, but yeah, it depends a bit. Camel question. Yeah, that was the other question. Thank you for reminding me. I can read you the Camel quote. It's an unfinished tales. For the Germans, it's called Nachrichten aus Mittelerde. And Camel. No, I need to remove this search setting here. So it's in the chapter The Hunt for the Ring. And there Tolkien writes this, I think was originally planned to be included maybe in the appendices, I'm not 100% sure. Therefore, Twitch is not good for VoD content. Gamble question. Therefore, when Osgiliath was taken and the bridge broken, Sauron stayed the assault and the Nazgul were ordered to begin the search for the ring. So Sauron attacked Osgiliath. We see this also in, for example, the films and so on. And yeah, Sauron When Osgiliath was taken and the bridge broken, Sauron stayed the assault, and the Nazgul were ordered to begin the search for the ring. But Sauron did not esteem the powers and vigilance of the wise, and the Nazgul were commanded to act as secretly as they could. Now, at that time, the chieftain of the ring race dwelt in Minas Morgul with 6 companions, while the second to the chief, Khamul, the Shadow of the East, abode in Dol Guldur as Sauron's lieutenant, with one other as his messenger. So here's a mention of it. So we know that the second-in-chief here in this essay Tolkien wrote was called Khamul, the Shadow of the East. He's later mentioned in this text again here. About the 22nd of July, they met their companions, the Nazgul of Dol Guldur, in the field of Celebrand. There they learned that Gollum had eluded both the orcs that recaptured him and the elves that pursued them, and had vanished. They were told also by Khamul that no dwelling of halflings could be discovered in the Vales of Anduin, and that the villages of the Sturs by the Gladden had long been deserted. But the Lord of Morgul, seeing no better counsel, determined still to seek northward, hoping maybe to come upon Gollum as well as to discover the Shire. That this would prove to be not far from the hated land of Lorien seemed to him not unlikely, if it was not indeed within the fences of Galadriel, but the power of the White Ring he would not defy, nor enter yet into Lorien. So that's this passage where he's mentioned again. As another explanation, thus the rider, who is in fact Khamul of Dol Guldur, see note 1, seen on the far side of the Buckleberry ferry just after the hobbits had crossed. It is said that he was well aware that the ring had crossed the river, but the river was a barrier to a sense of its movement, and that the Nazgul would not touch the elvish waters of Branduin. But it is not made clear how they crossed the other rivers that lay in their path, such as the Grey Flood, where there was only a dangerous ford formed by the ruins of the bridge. My father did indeed note that the idea was difficult to sustain. So this is written by Christopher Tolkien, the son of John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, who wrote Lord of the Rings. Therefore he sent some of the riders. Note 1. Yeah, this note 1 that was mentioned, according to the entry in the Tale of Years for 2951, so Third Age 2951, Sauron sent 3, not 2 of the Nazgul to reoccupy Dol Guldur. The 2 statements can be reconciled on the assumption that one of the ring race of Dol Guldur returned afterwards to Minas Morgul, but I think it is more likely that the information of the present text was superseded when the Tale of Years was compiled. And it may be noted that in a rejected version of the present passage there was only one Nazgul in Dol Guldur, not named as Khamul, but referred to as the second-in-chief, in brackets, the Black Easterling. Not the Shadow of the East, here the second chief has no name and is called the Black Easterling, while one remained with Sauron as his chief messenger. From notes recounting in detail the movements of the Black Riders in the Shire, it emerges that it was Khamul who came to Hobbiton and spoke to Gaffer Gamgee, that's the father of Sam, who followed the hobbits along the road to Stock and who narrowly missed them at the Buckleberry ferry. The rider who accomplished him whom he summoned accompanied him, not accomplished, the rider who accompanied him, whom he summoned by cries on the ridge above Woodhall, and with whom he visited Farmer Maggot, was his companion from Dol Guldur. Of Carmol it is said here that he was the most ready of all the Nazgul, after the Black Captain himself, to perceive the presence of the ring, but also the one whose power was most confused and diminished by daylight. Baldur was here at the beginning of the stream for a moment, so he might be lurking in the shadow. He's on the YouTube channel though, not on the Twitch channel. I saw him posting earlier. Yeah, Rosemary seems to be back, it seems. Welcome back, nice to see you. Oh no, Rosemary, I'm very unfortunate. All the best to you, hope you can sort things out there. Also didn't notice that you were back, I just overread this, even though we were back for quite some time now. Well. The diss to watch. Okay, it's kind of funny. Are the tallest dwarves taller than the shortest elves? I guess they are elf children considered shortest elves, so I guess at some point elven children are smaller than the tallest dwarves. But if we talk about adults, I'm not sure. I would say no. I would say the tallest dwarves are always shorter, but interesting question. Potentially hard to answer. How long did Numenor hold Isengard? We see the hill tribes hold it and the White Wizard, but we see nothing before. Let me see if we can find some information here. So the exact date when Isengard was established is not known. However, yeah, Numenor never held Isengard. Numenor was built by the Numenorians in exile. So it seems the year which it was established must be between 3320 and 3420. So it was not built by the Numenorians, it was built by the people of Gondor and Arnor later on. So technically they are Numenorians, but yeah, it's complicated. Okay, Pumpkin Rick, well. What's the German Twitch channel? Can post it if you haven't found it yet. Would be that. Currently not streaming there, so there's nothing happening there, but that would be the link. No, it was pretty well actually. The only mistake would be, ich muss den deutschen Kanal sehen, not dem deutschen. So it is accusative, not dative there. But besides that, that was pretty good. And most people really, for not native speakers, dative and accusative articles are kind of difficult in German to get them right. Daddy does is impossible for me because it doesn't make much sense. Yeah, when you learn vocabulary in German, you have to learn which grammatical gender a word has, and you shouldn't think about gender for a word. Like it makes no sense. Just think about it being 3 different word classes that use different articles. Like it makes no sense that in German, Tisch, table, is male. But for example, the door, Tür, is female. Like, it just depends on which word class it is. And usually, not always, it is a lot of exceptions and weird stuff and etymology stuff, but sometimes if words sound very similar, they usually have the same gender. Like, it's der Tisch, but it's also der Fisch. The fish is also male. German is easy to learn, isn't it? No, it's not. There are more difficult languages than German to learn, like Icelandic, Polish, and stuff like that. But I guess German is also not that easy. Oh yeah, Estonian. You also have no gender. Be happy that you get rid of that. It's masculine, yeah. Masculinum, femininum. Efficient, yeah. If you add an in at the end, and also words that are in the diminutive. So like girl in German is Mädchen, but it's neuter. The reason for it being neuter is that it's the diminutive. The diminutive is always neuter, so it's also the neutral gender. Das Mädchen instead of die Mädchen, which makes for a lot of people no sense, but since it's a diminutive with the chen at the end. Like, for example, if you drink a coffee, der Kaffee would be also masculine. But if you make the diminutive to it, it becomes also neuter. Das Käffchen versus der Kaffee. I always found it strange how in French the different female and male names for furniture. If one of questions, one unfortunately, I have one, but unfortunately it concerns the Hobbit movies. I wouldn't mind questions about the Hobbit movies, to be honest. Though the last, like, I don't like this. The first film I think was okay. The second film is, I think, watching it now so many times, I feel like, yeah, it's actually not that big of a dumpster fire than the fifth film, even though I always like the fifth film more for some reason. It has some strong moments and so on, but it's a dumpster fire. One of my names Pierre and one Céline. Yeah, when it changes, it's complicated, but it's kind of an exception. What came after it has softened the blow? Maybe. I find it interesting that Tolkienian dwarves are mostly friendly folk. I remember back childhood that Uskala dwarves was bad folk. Tolkien then Tolkien takes them more human-like than folklore. Yeah, that's also interesting that the dwarves are not seen always that positive in many other lore. Native Speaker in German? Muttersprachler. Irgendwie sowas. I have to stop speaking too much German here. Native language, Muttersprache. How could I forget that? Well, it happens. Was there another question besides Rosemary? We'll come to Rosemary's question in a moment. Okay, I think my OBS just gave me a message. I disconnected you from YouTube. Now I reconnected you. That was strange. Sprichst du Hochdeutsch? Yes, I speak standard German, though you can hear from which region I am. I'm from a region that is not necessarily known to speak the cleanest High German, even though we, I guess, mostly speak High German. Or High German, standard German. There's some stuff we do. I think the standard German, or the region that speaks the best standard German would be, I guess, Niedersachsen. And I'm from North Rhine-Westphalia. From the Ruhrgebiet. And it's kind of interesting. One thing, for example, we do is the standard German pronunciation of plane, Flugzeug, would be that. But we in our region would pronounce it Flugzeug. So we kind of smooth the k sound into a ch or ch sound, depending on which is the last vowel. Lower Saxony, Hanover area. Yeah, exactly, something like this. That's where they speak the best standard. I'm out of Germany. A friend in Düsseldorf. That's nice. Yeah, though in Flugzeugträger, that would be more Rhineland, where you also soften the in the middle of the word, like in Old English, which is kind of similar in this regard. Depends also on the vowel, I guess, where the G becomes a Y sound, like in yes. That we don't do here in my region. There you have to go further south into the Rhineland. Düsseldorf, Köln, and so on. There's people start doing that. Cologne, Düsseldorf. I think it's fitting to discuss languages in the Tolkien stream, so it's not off topic. Yeah, for sure. Ich mag Züge. I like trains. I live near Frankfurt. Oh, okay. So that would be Hessen. The German train system is pretty bad. That is 100% correct. It's absolute trash. Interestingly, there's an actual pronunciation-wise in German. There is a case where the G is at the end, where you make it not a K sound, but a H sound. For example, in König, King, or honey, Honig. It's written with a G at the end, IG, and then it becomes H instead of K. However, there are some regions in Germany, I think it's more in the southern regions, where they say, I guess also in some northern regions, where they not say Honig, but Honig. Or instead of König, they say König. But both pronunciations are valid. I would assume, like I said, it depends a bit on the region. It's not wrong to say it either way. The Frankfurt Central Station is completely ugly. Yeah, maybe. I was watching a time travel show the other day where the time traveler was asking if anyone there had been to Germany recently, and they were like, Germany? And she said, I mean, Prussia? What on earth? What time travel show was that? It's kind of funny though. Outlander, okay. Well, depending on when you, of course, depending on when you, what time you have, Germany didn't exist as a term, and was split in a lot of funny kingdoms. Did you see my question about Kamul? Didn't I answer it? Didn't I just read it? I have seen the question. I think I answered it, right? In Northumberland, not far where I live, it is Stonehills. Yeah. I think Tolkien took that for the dwarves of the Iron Hills of his first book. Oh, interesting. Rings of Power, with how fast people get to places, can be considered a time travel show. No, yeah, maybe you're not wrong. So your question, like I said, I can read it again in sections, else you have to see it in the VoD. Not sure how many hours are we in, chat. Don't see the timer here on YouTube. It is 1 hour 39. So I know I answered it like 10 minutes ago or something like that. Don't have a feeling for time, so don't quote me on that. Where is it? Hobbit, Unfinished Tales. So, Kamul appears in the book Unfinished Tales and in the chapter The Hunt for the Ring. That's the only places where you find Camul's name actually mentioned in full. And Tolkien here it is. But Sauron did not underestimate the powers and vigilance of the West, and the Nazgul were commanded to act as secretly as they could. Now, at that time, the chieftain of the Ring race dwelt in Minas Morgul with 6 companions, while the second to the chief, Camul, the Shadow of the East, abode in Dol Guldur as Sauron's lieutenant, with one other as his messenger. That's a quote from the book. There the name Camul appears. In this particular text it appears multiple other times. And there's note 1 about this particular thing later on. And in note 1 there is a mention that I don't know, sometimes my OBS just says, hey, you got disconnected, and I think, cool, thanks for that. And it reconnects again. I hope stream is still running, chat. For you people on YouTube, if not, please tell me. Is the stream back, chat? Running smooth. Okay, awesome. Yeah, to answer your question, there's another note 1 about Camul, and there it says, but I think it's more likely that the formulation of the present text was superseded when the Tale of Years was compiled. And it may be noted that in a rejected version of the present passage, there was only one Nazgul in Dol Guldur, not named as Camul, but referred to as the second chief of the Nazgul, the Black Easterling. In the version where he's named Camul, so in the later version it seems, he is called the Shadow of the East. It doesn't necessarily mean that Camul was an Easterling. It is very likely to come to this assumption, but it's still an assumption. He's though from the Shadow of the East, which means either he is active in the East, he's originally from the East, who knows. But the Black Easterling is from a rejected version where he's not called Camul. Just for completeness sake here. And that's in note 1 of this chapter, if you are interested in reading that unfinished tales. And yeah, there are different accounts on how many messengers are at what time and where. Moin, Schnarke, nice to see you. Rings of Power, stark, Schnarke. Strong one. Somebody you know, Rosemary? Yeah. Rosemary I know mainly here from these streams and from my YouTube channel. But she went there. So I hope Time Lord boy, this answers your question, I hope. There was another question by Rosemary about Azog. So, is Azog in The Hobbit? That's a good question, which is... Let me try to find the quote. So, Azog appears in The Hobbit one time. Let me see, where will you start reading, though? I have often wondered about my father's and my grandfather's escape. That's what Thorin says, I assume. I see now they must have had a private side door which only they knew about. But apparently they made a map, and I should like to know how Gandalf got hold of it and why it did not come down to me, the rightful heir. I did not get hold of it, said Gandalf. I was given it, said the wizard. Your grandfather, Thror, was killed, you remember, in the mines of Moria by Azog, the goblin. Curse his name, yes, said Thorin. And Throin, Your father went away on the 21st of April, 100 years ago, last Thursday, and was never been seen by you since. True, true, said Thorin. Well, your father gave this to me to give to you, and if I have chosen my own time and way for handing it over, you can hardly blame me considering the trouble I had to find you. Your father could not remember his own name when he gave me the paper, and he never told me yours. So on the whole, I think I ought to be praised and thanked. Here it is, said he, handing the map to Thorin. This is how it's written in the modern version of The Hobbit, and I could also look into the first edition of The Hobbit if you are interested, if there's any difference in the writing. Here it's in the first chapter of The Hobbit, Unexpected an unexpected party. Right, let's just for curiosity, I would look into my first edition version of The Hobbit. One moment, chat, I just have to get it out of the shelf. I don't have it digital. Okay, we're going analog. Yeah, I have a reprint of it. It's not an original one. I can't afford one of those. But yeah, this is how it was originally published. Unexpected party. Let's go to roast mutton, and then like 2 pages before. Right, I think it's the same. No, it's not the same, chat. That's so interesting. Okay. That's interesting. I did not get hold of it. I was given it, said the wizard. Your grandfather was killed, you remember, in the mines of Moria by a goblin. Curse the goblin, yes, said Thorin. And your father went away on the 3rd March, 100 years ago last Thursday, and has never been seen by you since. So, I read the other section again. I did not get hold of in the current version of The Hobbit. If you buy it, the normal one, it would read like this: I did not get hold of it. It was given. I was given it, said the wizard. Your grandfather Thror. Your grandfather was killed in the original version. Your grandfather Thror was killed, you remember, in the mines of Moria by Azog the Goblin. So Azog name does not appear in the first version, and also the name Thror does not appear in the first version. Curse his name, yes, said Thorin, and in this version, curse the goblin, yes, said Thorin. And your father, no name here, went away on the 3rd of March, 100 years ago last Thursday, and has never been seen by you since. This was changed to, and Thrain, but the Old Norse pronunciation would be Throin. Your father went away on the 21st of April. So 3rd of March was changed to 21st of April. 100 years ago stayed. Last Thursday also stayed, and has never been seen by you since. That also did not change. True, true, said Thorin. Well, your father gave me this to give to you, and if I have chosen my own time and way for handing it over, you can hardly blame me, considering the trouble I had to find you. Your father could not remember his own name when he gave me the paper, and he never told me yours. So the whole, I So on the whole, I think you ought to be I ought to be praised and thanked. Here it is, said he, handling the map to Thorin. So there are some changes, interestingly, in the original Hobbit version. Like the old version is from 1937, and Tolkien changed the version, I think, for the first time 1951, if I remember correctly. And then there's another changes that came a bit later. I can't tell you the complete change history of this particular, but yeah, it seems like Tolkien, when he wrote Lord of the Rings, had a better idea of the dwarven names, how time spans were exactly, and changed little things in the Hobbit here and there again to fit better to Lord of the Rings. That was the idea of the second edition. Make the Hobbit book fit better to Lord of the Rings. So it seems definitely that he added it later. However, in the current version of The Hobbit, we have definitely one mention of Azog. However, Azog in the Hobbit is not alive anymore, because also in the Lord of the Rings book he's alive. And this is completely different in the Hobbit films, where it is Azog, and he also has his son, Bolg. And Bolg, let me just here in the... It's actually interesting if we have the same comment here. Let me just look this up in a moment, chat. I assume he has a name. The goblins are upon you. Bolg of the North is coming, O Dain, whose father you slew in Moria. Behold, the bats are above his army like a sea of locusts. And Bolg has a footnote, and it says, son of Azog. See page 24, which is where I just read the other thing, I would assume. Now it's interesting to see. I would not be surprised if this is also. It is the return journey where this is written. I have to just look it in the first edition because I'm curious. I think that also fits the spirit of our day, the Tolkien Reading Day, that we read a bit of Tolkien stuff here. I just have to find the chapter thing. The return journey, it's The Cloud's Burst. Page 292. And I need to go a bit up. I'm just curious if there is a footnote. I would not be surprised if there's none. Okay, it will be difficult to find this particular thing here. There's a mention of Bolg, is of course mentioned. Bodyguard of Bolg. Oh yeah, I found it, I think. So began the battle, blah 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 blah. Yeah. No footnote here in the original version, though. Dread has come upon you all. Alas, it has come more swiftly than I guessed. The goblins are upon you. Bolg of the North is coming, O Duin, whose father you slew in Moria. Behold. So the text is the same, but the footnote that the father of Bolg, whose father you slew in Moria, that is the same. So, yeah, in the original Hobbit book, Azog does not play a role because he's already dead, and in Lord of the Rings, it's also clear that he died in this prologue battle of the Hobbit. We see the Battle of Azanul Bizar, the Battle of the Dimril Dale, before the gates of the east gates of Moria, the Dwarven Kingdom, and there Azog was slain by Dain, Ironfoot, Doin, as the Old Norse pronunciation. And Bolg survived this, and he's the son of Azog. In the Hobbit film, that's different, though. In the Hobbit film, Azog survives. Bolg also is in the film, but he survives this. He loses his arm there, and gets replaced with this weird blade thing that he just sticks in his remaining arm. But yeah. Do you have a German copy? I only have a German copy of the second edition, of the current edition. I can also get that. I don't have it here. Also have it in book form. One moment, chat. Okay, I'm back. German edition. What does it say? It is who translated it? Wolfgang Kriege. So who translated it? So I only have the Kriege. I'm not sure. Chat. Is there a different translation by The Hobbit? Does somebody know? From the German, for the people who know the German versions. Maybe Mark or somebody knows. Lord of Rings was translated by Margaret Carew. And then later also by Wolfgang Kriege, but from an old version. However, I mean, I know that under Nazi Germany contacted Tolkien for translation of The Hobbit, interestingly. And he asked him if he was Irish, but Tolkien wrote a very salty, very interesting answer there. Which basically said F you, but yeah. 13. Wait, I have to go simply to page 47. Page 47, okay. Okay, the German version, it also mentions Azog here. I can read it in German, can try to translate, but it's pretty much the same, I think. Ich habe sie nicht an mich gebracht, sie wurde mir anvertraut, sagte der Zauberer. Wie du weißt, wurde dein Großvater Thror in den Minen von Moria von dem Ork Azog getötet. Verflucht soll sein Name sein, ja, sagte Thorin. Und dein Vater Throin ist an einem 21. April letzten Donnerstag vor 100 Jahren fortgegangen und du hast ihn seither nicht wiedergesehen. Stimmt, sagte Thorin. That's the German. It's basically the same as I just read in English. It's word-by-word translation here in this case. I don't have a German translation of the first edition, though. The second edition came out, I think, 1951. However, this is not the second edition I was reading original from, because it's from 51, there were other editions. Copyright, is that the edition? Don't find it. Wait a moment, chat. I have also an English hard copy of The Hobbit. Let me see which edition it is, though, because it's definitely not the second. First published by HarperCollins, 1999. It's the fifth edition reset from 1995. The second edition is 1951, third edition 1966, fourth edition 1978, and then there's one from 91, or the reset from 1995. And the original version, the first edition as it's called, is from 1937. Can I post a link? That is a good question, if you can. I try. Wait a moment. Rosemary. I'm not sure if my bot is active, unfortunately. It doesn't seem like it. How do I solve this problem, chat? Log in with YouTube. CloudBot is not active, of course. I think now it should be possible. I'm not 100% sure though. Just had to fix the bot really quick. But it is possible that YouTube filters it out. I don't know. Currently, if you have posted it, I can't see it. Did Melkor create Discord? Strong one, Ben. Strong one. I guess he did, yes. Good that I haven't streamed on my channels for such a long time that my bots just timed out and need new permission. That's funny. Are you on the Rosemary? Are you on the Twitch channel? But there I can see it. That's Nightbot. Why does the CloudBot not work? Something went wrong. Cool. But yeah, I see the link now on Twitch. That worked. The book was bereits 1938, the already 1938. Yeah, that was what I mentioned with the Nazi Germany thing. It was from 80. The publisher wanted a proof that Tolkien is Irish. It's kind of Nazi Germany. Yeah. In the German there are two translations. The older is from Walter Scherf, 1957, 1971, again from what do you call it? Re-edited by Scherf under the title Der kleine Hobbit. And then there's a newer from 1997 from Wolfgang Krege under the title Der Hobbit oder Hin und Zurück. I think that's the one. But to be fair, I just have it Let me just see if I make the dust jacket away. Yo, it's under the title. The cover says The Hobbit, but in the book it says Der Hobbit oder Hin und Zurück. Here and back again. Oh, Priscilla, nice to see you. Welcome. Well, yeah, thank you for posting and sharing. Oh no. Then just leaving my like. Need to work tomorrow. Okay. Thank you for joining for the moment. The VOD will be available. So there's that. I even think about making the VOD not under live this time, but re-uploading it basically as a video. Because why not, even though not much is happening. I'm a bit lazy on production today, unfortunately. The link better be good, just kidding. Yeah, I just haven't done too much stuff here on these channels, so my Streamlabs bot kind of timed out. Yeah, Aryan Descent. I can maybe read you the letter from Tolkien through that. It's actually a very interesting one, I think. I'm too stupid to find the letter, but I know the number. I think it's 19. Not 19, and it's 29. No, it's 30. Rütten and Löning Verlag, so Rütten and Löning publisher, the German publisher to the time of Nazi Germany, obviously. And yeah, one of the two drafts mentioned by Tolkien in the previous letter, this is the only one preserved in the Allen Unwin files, and seems therefore very probable that English publishers sent the other one to Germany. It is clear that in the letter Tolkien refused to make any declaration of Irish origin. Dear sirs, thank you for your letter. I regret that I am not clear as to what you intend by Irish. I am not of Aryan extraction, that is Indo-Iranian as far as I'm aware. None of my ancestors spoke Hindustani, Persian, Gypsy, or any related dialects. But if I'm to understand that you are inquiring whether I'm of Jewish origin... Lost the line. I can only reply that I regret that I appear to have no ancestors of that gifted people. That's such a big F you to the Nazis. It's awesome. My great-great-grandfather came to England in the 18th century from Germany. The main part of my descendant is therefore purely English. And I am an English subject, which should be sufficient. I have been accustomed, nonetheless, to regard my German name with pride, and continued to do so throughout the period of the late regrettable war, in which I served in the English army. I cannot, however, forbear to comment that if impertinent and irrelevant inquiries of this sort are to become the rule in matters of literature, then the time is not far distant when a German name will no longer be a source of pride. Your inquiry is doubtless made in order to comply with the laws of your own country, but that this should be held to apply to the subject of another state would be improper, even if it had, as it has not, any bearing whatsoever on the merits of my work or its suitability for publication, of which you appear to have satisfied yourself without reference to my Abstammung. I trust you will find this reply satisfactory and remain yours faithfully, John Ronald Reuel Tolkien. So yeah, that's a very interesting answer, isn't it? Like I understand this letter as a huge F you. What I find very interesting in that context, the Germans had this obsession with Aryan Abstammung, and yeah, Tolkien here, as a language scientist, of course, knows what that means actually, and it says, well, it's Indo-Iranian, so it's from the region from Iran, and people that are actually Aryan would speak Hindustani, Persian, Gypsy, those people. And those are people the Nazis in parts would actually murder. Those are the people who are of this extraction, as Tolkien writes it here, of this origin. And yeah, it's a sad part of German history, to be honest. Oh, Rico Thingol, nice to see you. Also to you, happy Tolkien Day. I think the conclusion I have come to is that there was never a German translation of the first edition of The Hobbit. Yes, same. That would be also my conclusion. I mean, it would be difficult because this publisher here from Germany would have potentially created a German translation of The Hobbit. However, yeah, Tolkien just said, F you guys. But if I am to understand that you are inquiring whether I'm of Jewish origin, I can only reply that I regret that I appear to have no ancestors of that gifted people. That's such a powerful sentence. And he also references World War I, which he said he fought for the English side there against the Germans. I served in the English army. So yeah. I think it's an important letter. And also kind of a fascinating piece of history here. So in this regard, yeah, it's just very interesting, I have to admit as well. Like, it's a fascinating letter. And he basically said, no. Go away, let me alone. And then this was 1937. The first edition of The Hobbit was published. This letter here is from the 25th of July, 1938. So that's a year, kind of round about a year after the publication. I'm not sure which month Hobbit was published in 1937, to be honest. Well, we could look that up, I guess. September 21st. So yeah, let's say round about a year. And 2 months, let's say 10 months later. So this would have led to a German translation. Then, of course, the World War peaked and moved on after 38 in the 40s and so on. So there was no time. I think the Germans had other things to do than translate The Hobbit into German. And yeah, then only after the war, and then Germany had also a lot of things to do to rebuild and get, I don't know, transform. And yeah, then only, as we read in the article that the Wikipedia article of The Hobbit, we had the translation. There is the Übersetzungen section here. Let me just read it again, which date it was. Yeah, 1957 was then the next time. I guess back in the day, it was kind of a popular children's book, The Hobbit. There was also a question if I know other Tolkien-related stuff that is maybe more suited for children than The Hobbit. But I think The Hobbit is the best I can think of, to be fair. The other stuff is mostly about, I don't know, it's mostly kind of advanced, sometimes tough to understand text. So I think, I'm not sure if there's a more children-like version of The Hobbit that kind of, I don't know, makes it better to understand. But I think, yeah, there's that. So the first translation, 57, that was, and then 97 was the next time somebody. That was the first time The Hobbit was released in Germany in this context. And yeah, Tolkien, you also have to consider that Tolkien's Lord of the Rings look at it. I tried to find out when it was published in Germany. Erschien einzeln wie 19. Okay, the first translation in, I think it's paperback from Margaret Carew, basically the story, and Ebba Margareta von Freimann, the poems, was published in Germany in 1969 and 1970. So Germany got, like in Germany, the books were published much later, and only like 57, I think, The Hobbit was published. So 12 years before Lord of the Rings in Germany, The Hobbit was published, and in England, Lord of the Rings was already out completely at this time. The publication is 55, I think, of the last Lord of the Rings book, Return of the King. And I think Two Towers and Fellowship both released 54, if I remember correctly. I'm very bad with dates, so don't correct me if I'm wrong there. Let me just see. Yes, 29th of July 1954 was Fellowship. Two Towers in UK was 11th November 1959. So for the Christmas time. And then 20th of October 1955 was Return of the King. In Estonia, A Hobbit was translated in 77. Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, exactly. Like, it was definitely difficult. You have also consider in the German translation of the Lord of the Rings, you also had the poems in the book. Like, there was, besides Margaret Carew, who just translated the prose, the poems were translated by somebody else who worked with, I think, Miss Carew, and I always trouble remembering her name correctly. But I guess she was like more an expert on translating poems or so. Ebba Margareta von Freimann. I'm not sure if she's Freimann or Freimann pronounced, but who knows. She's actually from Austria, interestingly. She was born in Vienna. And she also published poems in her lifetime. Okay, that is cool. I read the other day that The Hobbit is now coming out in Scots Gaelic. That's cool. But yeah, there was like it's also like an introduction here. Tolkien was not happy with some of the translations in other languages, like I think with the Swedish edition and so on. He was not that happy. Okay, that's interesting. So Tolkien, after he was not happy with the other, there was the translation into German and to Danish, and he said he wanted to have some influence on this and offered his help for the translation in this, and he would even offer this help even without being paid. That's actually funny. And it's interesting because Tolkien, like I said, the publication was 69 or 67, something like this. Tolkien died 73, so shortly after he died, after the publication in these two languages. So that's the only the German translation and the Danish translation are the only translations where Tolkien had direct influence on. That's interesting. Did you know that there's a Latin version? No, I did not know that. So yeah, very interesting. And I think we learned something today. I, for example, didn't know that he offered his help without pay. That was also new to me. Maybe I have to check sources for that, but it's interesting nonetheless. So, chat, are there any questions further that we have or can discuss? Oh, Lord of the Rings was 1996 in Estonia. That's interesting, Pumpkin Rig. I did not expect that it would be that late, but yeah, I was always surprised that you said The Hobbit was quite late. 77, oh, quite some time. No, it was a good question, to be honest. So coming back to the question, just in the conclusion of it, Azog is mentioned in a later edition of The Hobbit, at least the 5th edition, I think it was. Or the 4th edition. Maybe it was the 4th, I forgot the number. I'm very bad with numbers, but there he is mentioned again. And interestingly, he's dead during the time of The Hobbit, in the books at least. In the films, he's alive. And in the book, it is his son Bolg who does all the stuff in the Hobbit films, it's Azog, and his son Bolg is also there. So that's definitely a change that Peter Jackson and his team did there. You had a Galadriel question. Can you repeat it? Because I currently can try to find it as well in the meantime. No, she can't see Gandalf. Yeah. Okay, I see it now. I also like typewriters, and my dream is of suddenly finding myself rich enough to have an electric typewriter built to my specification. Well, Mr. Tolkien, I have good news for you. If you would live today, you would definitely be rich enough. So the Galadriel question, I think we had this in the past already, which is of course not your fault, but it sounds very familiar. The Quenya typewriter would be funny. Oh, too nice. Nice to see you here as well. Or runes, the dwarf runes, the Kirth. Galadriel's question. What was the? Where was it where she says she can't see him? Was it in? I mean, Galadriel doesn't appear that often in the book, so it's either in the Fellowship or at the very end. It makes most sense in the Fellowship. So, from my understanding, the quote should be in somewhere in Lothlorien or the Mirror. I wouldn't say he was completely poor, to be honest, but he's definitely not that rich as he would be today. Like, especially the Lord of the Rings films kind of kicked in a lot of success again. And definitely they made a lot of book sales, which with that stuff. It's a bit unfortunate that the films, there was, I think, also a lawsuit. No, Dark Souls today, maybe later, too nice. Maybe after the LotR stream, we might do some gaming still on the German channel. Yeah, I mean, of course, a lot of academics and so on are also not the most rich people in the world. I read that in ancient church history, March 25th was said to be the day that Jesus died and the day of the Annunciation, 9 months before Christmas, formerly a symmetry. Oh, okay. It's cool. Tolkien shows this day too. Oh, well, it's $300. Yeah, they made some trickery and stuff there. I don't know. I'm not into this. Like, I'm simply not the information to comment on who gets this stuff. But yeah, I remember there was some article about this. Currently searching the quote, by the way, in case you wonder, what is he doing there? Why is he shutting up so much? To kind of focus. Yeah, they definitely run at a loss to prevent paying too much taxes and stuff and other people and whatnot. Yeah, it will become free use in 2043 or something. Public domain, I think it's called. I can't find it, chat. I remember the quote, but I remember round about the line, but I simply can't find it. Oh, it's sometimes tough to figure. I don't remember. I can't find it, chat. Does somebody know the quote, chat? I could. We had it the same question I think we had in the past. Chat, I don't find it. Why is that? Okay, maybe I found it. Gandalf the Grey set out with a company, but he did not pass the borders of this land. Now tell us where he is, for I much desire to speak with him again. But I cannot see him from afar unless he comes with the fences, within the fences of LotR. A grey mist is about him, and the ways of his feet and of his mind are hidden from me. That's what Galadriel says in the book. In the film, interestingly, a part of this line says Celeborn, and became a meme. Now tell us where he is, for I much desire to speak with him again. Yeah, exactly. In the film, it's Celeborn. We could maybe do some production here from time to time. We're staring at this weird screen here for 5 hours. I have not switched it once because I'm, I guess, lazy is the correct term for that. But yeah, we have him, Celeborn. But yeah, in the book, it's Galadriel who says this. Yeah, there's a lot of dialogue that was switched around, that is true. A Balrog of Morgoth. That's also a good line. That's a quote from the book, though. It was a Balrog of Morgoth, said Legolas. Of all elf-banes, the most deadly, save the one who sits in the Dark Tower. Yeah, so let's go back to the quote to maybe shed some light onto the question. Sorry for stalling here. Gandalf the Grey set out with a company, but he did not pass the borders of this land. Now tell us where he is, for I much desire to speak with him again, but I cannot see him from afar, unless he comes within the fences of LotR. A grey mist is about him, and the ways of his feet and of his mind are hidden from me. So the question is kind of, if I understand you correctly, Mari, why is that? Why can't Galadriel see him? I assume, first of all, it could be a classic case of I can't see those who are more powerful than me. It could be that for the mission that the Istari had coming to the lands and helping the free people, it would be a good thing if those with powerful supernatural abilities, like some of the elves, but especially for the enemy, like Sauron, the Nazgul, were not able to see where the Istari are. So this is my interpretation. It could be by design a kind of a protection that Gandalf kind of, as a very powerful, like Gandalf is basically some kind of angel, you could describe him. He's a very powerful entity that took the form of an old man and had to also reduce his power, but he still has some power in him. He's a wizard, so he can do supernatural stuff, of course, and I guess he can maybe shroud his presence, if that makes sense, from the eyes of the others. The reason why he can maybe see him, but I cannot see him from afar unless he comes to the Grey Mist. Why can Galadriel even see him? Can Galadriel see all the people? She has her mirror, so she can... the mirror of Galadriel kind of has a similar function as a Palantir, just with the ability to maybe see a potential future. So there's maybe some similarities here, and the Palantir could also see into the distance. So that is one ability. She had the gift of foresight as well. And maybe the path that Gandalf takes is outside the the perception of foresight, if that makes sense. This is a design by Eru himself, by God himself. So it is definitely a possibility that for like Galadriel can maybe foresee what happens to the mortals, to maybe even some elves, but she can't potentially foresee what the angels of God do next. So there are definitely limits. It's also not like Galadriel knows. She's not omniscient. Do you pronounce it like this? So she's not all-knowing. Yeah, omniscient, I think it's pronounced. She's not omniscient, so she can only see certain parts of the future, and some are, like it is implied here, hidden to her. There's a grey mist there. So there are definitely multiple possibilities why Galadriel is not able to see him. A reason, of course, why Galadriel can see Gandalf especially, and maybe communicate with him, is she wears one of the 3 elven rings. She has Nenya, Gandalf has Narya, and Elrond has Vilya, in the published version, the most powerful of the 3 rings. In earlier writings, actually, Nenya was the most powerful, but it's a different topic. So, omniscient, I think I said it right? Okay, here it says omniscient, but the US pronunciation. Wait, I can show you both pronunciations. US pronunciation is
omniscient,
and the UK pronunciation is
omniscient.
Why ever? English people, can you just agree on one pronunciation? It's very confusing. Source is the Cambridge Dictionary. I don't ask me why I don't use the other thing. I use the UK version, omniscient. Okay, that will be tough for me to remember, to be honest. Okay, Americans can't pronounce words probably. Yeah, I guess it's the same when we when other Germans talk to the people from South Germany, from Bavaria, to say, yeah, you guys also can't pronounce words, but it's a different topic, I guess. Omnipotent, omniscient. Yeah, okay, I got that. So yeah, he also has a ring, and we know the rings are kind of connected, especially the one ring, as we have learned. So it's not clear if that's the case for the lesser rings as well, that can be used to communicate. Okay, it's too complicated to find right now, but basically, I forgot which book is it written. Is it Lord of the Rings? I thought it would be the Silmarillion description. But it's basically one who has one ring can kind of see the minds and the works of the others. Being Council of Elrond, or many meetings or something. Oh God, I'm searching and searching for the wrong word. Today nothing is working, chat. When it comes to finding quotes. Interesting. There is a interesting quote here about Saruman. Just switching to. So Saruman guessed, and he had concealed his mind and deceived his messengers. So Saruman, it seems like, also had the ability to conceal his mind. Maybe that was also similar with Gandalf. Just an idea here. These things the elves of Middle Earth have in some measure gained, though with sorrow. But all that has been wrought by those who wield the three will turn to their undoing, and their minds and hearts will become revealed to Sauron if he regains the one. How is it phrased in the other book here? It might also be in a letter. I forgot where it was written. Man. Yeah, that is. And while he wore the One Ring, he could perceive all the things that were done by means of the lesser rings, and he could see and govern the very swords of those that wore them. So yeah, it's hard to tell if they could communicate with each other with the ring, or it has some kind of. But I guess, well, there might be possibilities. We just had the topic how Germans pronounce name words differently, yes. What Americans call Killeboard. It's definitely Tolkien Reading Day. Well, yeah, I mean, my streams I often try to, I really try to read, I really try to read the book and the quotes when I say something to kind of, there are some parts that are so general that are described at length over many chapters that it's very difficult to find this one sentence that makes this exact statement. So sometimes I just say, well, it's like that. Sometimes it's very difficult to find a specific sentence, or I forgot where it was written. But I usually like to kind of prove my point, if that makes sense, or prove my point with quotes from the books, what Tolkien actually wrote, and not just make stuff up. Yeah, exactly. There's Also, welcome, Sephir. Nice to see you. Yeah, Nature of Earth has mind pictures, and the Osanwe Kenta. Osanwe is also a technique how to communicate. I think mind pictures kind of builds on that. So the elves have telepathic abilities, which they can use to communicate, potentially even over long distances. Maybe these rings make using this ability easier, but also the Valar can use Osanwe, of course. Or the Maiar, in case, for example, Saruman or Sauron. In Nature of Middle-earth, there's even the hint that they can teleport. When they are not committed to a physical form, that is. Not too committed to a physical form. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting topic. But I can't give you a definitive answer why Galadriel can't see him. I can just speculate. I'm not sure, Chad, if you have a better explanation for this, or remember that there's one source we could maybe look into, because it's a really good source in my opinion, and that is that is the Reader's Companion. Oh, I'm in the wrong book. I have to find the quote at first, so I can have the page number. Lothlorien desired to speak with him. I don't have the page number because that's not written here, but I find it. I figure it out, chat. One moment. I have to get another book yet. Getting out of hand here with getting books from my shelf. Okay, it's page 355. Okay, I'm back. 355, chapter Lothlorien. Let's see if we find it. Council of Elrond. Golden Hall, Treebeard, Riders of Rohan. Too far. Farewell to Lothlorien. We're getting close. It's Mirror of Galadriel, actually. Page 355. Oh, okay. Here we have actually the Lord of the Rings: A Reader's Companion by Wayne G. Hammond and Christina Scull. We have an interesting. I'm not sure if it's interesting actually, but the quote is here and there's a comment on it. I cannot see him from afar unless he comes within the fences of Lothlorien. A grey mist is about him, and the ways of his feet and of his mind are hidden from me. It is not clear whether Galadriel means that she can never see Gandalf from afar, or that now she cannot see him. Readers have interpreted it both ways. At the same time she speaks, Gandalf is still fighting with the Balrog underground. That's an interesting point here, how to interpret this, right? Now that I read this particular thing, because that we have to be also clear about in our mind. Gandalf is not dead yet; he is still alive. So you could argue, well, she can't see him because he's gone. He was taken to Eru or something. But if you look at the timeline, Gandalf is actually still fighting the Balrog at this time. It might be also that the Balrog kind of makes him not be seen, or she's still so far underground that not even Galadriel can reach this far into the depths or whatever. But yes, it's an interesting question, to be honest. Unfortunately, yeah, it also seems like this comment says, well, we don't really know, but there are different interpretations of this particular line. So, a very unsatisfying question. Why not have? It is confusing if Galadriel can't see him, but Frodo see him in the mirror. And that's, I guess, true. But I guess Frodo in this regard has a special connection, if that makes sense. And the mirror is also kind of a weird thing. A very mythological object. That's maybe even beyond the power of Galadriel, if that makes sense. I like last suggestion is the fact that he's running around the roots of the world with the nameless things at the time. Yeah. However, the statement, but I cannot see him from afar unless he comes within the fences of Lothlorien, means, yeah, well, I can never see him really from afar. Only when he comes close, I start sensing him. So it must not necessarily be the reason that he fights in the roots of the world, but I think that could also be a factor in this particular case here. I thought the stream had ended. I had to go to the door and listen to one of my neighbors babble nonsense for a few minutes. Well, it happens at times. Yeah, here's an interesting point to the mirror of Galadriel. Here is the mirror of Galadriel, she said. I have brought you here so you may look in it, if you will. The air was very still, and the dell was dark, and the elf lady beside him was tall and pale. What shall we look for, and what shall we see? Asked Frodo, filled with awe. Many things I can command the mirror to reveal, she answered, and to some I can show what they desire to see. But the mirror will also show things unbidden, and those are often stranger and more profitable than things which we wish to behold. What you will see, if you leave the mirror free to work, I cannot tell, for it shows things that were, and things that are, and things that yet may be. But which it is that he sees, even the wisest cannot always tell. Do you wish to look? So this clearly indicates that Ares are really nice to see you as well. Welcome. So this clearly indicates to me that the mirror, she has some power, control over it, but the most potent things to see are those unbidden, those she has not power. If this thing is free at work, and she even says it, even the wisest cannot tell what it sometimes shows. So it seems like it's not wholly fueled or limited by Galadriel's own ability to see into the future, by her own power, by her own strength of will or whatever, by her abilities with the ring, in combination with the ring that she possesses, but it is still something else. Like, you can really glimpse into things that not even Galadriel can foretell, and there are things, as she says, show things unbidden. So in this regard, it's a powerful device. And the place we are here is called Lothlorien, and Lorien is also a place in Aman, a place of the Valar Irmo, and was also called Lorien at times. So it's kind of, I don't know, maybe it's kind of what do you call it? Zweigstelle. A branch office of of Irmo or something like that. I'm not sure. That's an interesting detail here, maybe. I'm currently looking something up. Not as successful as I would have hoped, to be honest. Oh god, we're in a completely wrong chapter now. Yeah, interesting detail I also often forget, which is the water in the file of Galadriel. I come to you last, who are not last in my thoughts. For you I have prepared this. She held up a small crystal phial. It glittered as she moved it, and rays of white light sprang from her hand. In this phial, she said, is caught the light of Eärendil's star, set amid the waters of my fountain. It will shine still brighter when night is about you. May it be a light to you in dark places when all other lights go out. Remember Galadriel and her mirror. So it basically says from her fountain. So you could argue that the water in Galadriel's mirror is also in the phial, if that makes sense. So very interesting detail. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff here. Very mysterious object. So yeah, I don't know, chat. She can see into the future, but she can't know if it is the future or another future, essentially worthless, a cosmic parlor trick. Yeah, it has to be a bit vague, else it would be too powerful, I think. And like if she could just look up every time the future of a specific person and say, yeah, that's what's happened, she would be like God. You know, knowing what will happen next is a very powerful ability. And yeah, if we want to go into this particular direction, maybe you have to look into the Dune books, because that is a topic actually there. But it's not a topic in Tolkien's. Like like Galadriel or Elrond. Elrond does not have a mirror like Galadriel. It can also predict the future. We also have others. Groundhog Day and all sort of thing. But others as Melbeth, for example, there was. Who else predicts the future, chat? Gilrain, the mother of Aragorn, and her parents, and Círdan predicts the future at times. So there are a lot of people with the gift of foresight in Tolkien's universe. But it's not like they can always predict the correct future. That sometimes they have to predict, or that they can't know everything, else they would be what is it pronounced? Omniscient? Prescience always needs to prescient, whatever it's pronounced, always leads to madness. Yeah, that's also a possibility. Though I feel like the foresight thing is not necessarily something you learn. It's more something like you have. In Tolkien, it always seems to be that the very wise are literally very wise and knowledgeable, with centuries of experience and divine instruction from the Valar. That might be true, to be fair. Yeah, she definitely learned potentially how to protect her home from Melian. I would agree on that. What's interesting with Galadriel, sometimes Galadriel does things that are not wise, though. Even though some would argue with it, my opinion was not wise to not tell Thingol, but it was young, sassy Galadriel, as I call her, to tell Thingol about the kinslaying. There's a famous quote, shouldn't the king know about this? Yes, but not from me. Now much you tell me, and yet more I perceive, a darkness you would cast over the long road from Tirion. But I see evil there, which Thingol should learn for his guidance. Maybe, said Galadriel, but not of me. She knows about shooting the messenger. Yeah, true. So, chat, are there any questions left that somebody has? Maybe not still an interesting question. Otherwise, even though we're just streaming for 3 hours, I would slowly come to an end. If you don't mind. And then I would be interested in... Oh, yeah, then I kind of think of to have like my English streaming day. So I can kind of avoid this conflict of streaming too much in German and not streaming in English anymore. That's a problem. I see this as a problem. I need to solve it. I think the only way to solve it in a good way is really to have like a specific day where I say, well, today I stream in English. I do English stuff, be it either games or here LotR stream or whatever. You know what I mean? That would be, though, a topic of organization. So if you don't have any other lore questions or stuff, then we could maybe wrap it up, I think. Also, what might be quite interesting in this context is, of course, that maybe this weekend, in my German streaming Twitch thing community, I have somebody who won't believe it. He has not seen Lord of the Rings yet, and we'll have a watch party, I think on Saturday or something. So that's kind of an interesting experience. It's to have somebody watching Lord of the Rings for the first time. We have a little watch party then. We watch it in German though, because I guess that's easier. You can read some Dungeons and Dragons novels. Well, Rosemary, I might continue with Dark Souls. Fancy. I don't know what we do next. Maybe we do Cyberpunk, Dark Souls, something like that. It was great to hang out with you all again. Yeah, thank you all the people here for joining, actually. After such a long time, I let you people down there. I'm sorry for that, but like I said, I really needed some time for my other project. And you know how terrible I'm with time. So when it comes to time, I'm always a bit off, if that makes sense. Nice to see some familiar names. Yeah, definitely. Definitely very nice. Time is an illusion. Yeah, that's also my firm belief, to be honest. For me, time is always an illusion. It's always, well, wait, I streamed for 8 hours. If you would ask me, it was 2 hours. Where's the time all of a sudden? It's strange. But yeah, I'm still alive and I'm doing well, so don't worry too much about me currently. I just know I need to focus a bit again more on YouTube stuff, I think. Or I have to do at least something. So I will try. I hope that we can get this stream stuff here more frequently again. I have to find a balance. Is there a specific day in the week? Maybe we can do this here. Where you people, I mean, we can maybe make we haven't done a poll yet. Also, we haven't looked at the map. So first of all, just for completeness sake, we look at the map for a moment, just to appreciate the beautiful map of Middle-earth. And in the meantime, we haven't had a poll yet. Problem is I only have 4 options, so I have to exclude already stuff. Let me just think of what days would be ideal to stream in English. Okay, I have Sunday, Thursday, Monday. Saturday and Friday are usually days that often align very well with some cooperations I do in the German channel. So I would maybe exclude those 2 days. And now the question is Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm gonna go with Tuesday, with maybe some exceptions. And just not doesn't mean like that will be the day. Just to have a tendency from people watching my stuff here in English. I mean, it's a stupid question, and I'm just curious if there's like a consensus here in chat or anything of people who might want to see my stuff and so on. So yeah, we just create a poll. You can maybe also let me know on Discord. Maybe I'll do a poll on Discord as well, because there are also quite a few people. I definitely need like a day where I stream in English. I saw something interesting the other day. Elvish maps had the west top, whereas the dwarves had it east. Okay, that's cool. Unfortunately, we only have 1 vote left. 1 vote yet. Should have maybe started the vote earlier. Now at the end, people slowly leaving. Yeah, that would be great, I guess. May I make 1 Discord thing here? I put it on general feedback. Well, it's more streaming related. Stream feedback is maybe a good channel. Isn't there a way to make a poll on this thing? Allow multiple answers on Discord. It is actually possible. I could also promise on YouTube I could do a community post for that. Yeah, don't forget to like the video. Sunday, Thursday. I think those Sunday and Thursday are kind of my preferred dates, if that makes sense. Monday is maybe also not bad. Tuesday. Maybe I let it active for like 2 weeks or something, or a week. Why not? Let me see if my Discord. Well, that works. Okay, maybe on Discord I also add Wednesday. You know, it's a bit unfair here for this, but why not? How do you even spell Wednesday? I'm always what? How is it spelled? Yeah, I'll spell it right. Monday, Thursday. I mean, it's a bit stupid that it's not ordered correctly, but let's say it's kind of... Well, we'll change the order anyway, I think, depending what's leading, so whatever. You will find the day. Well, 2 weeks is maximum for a vote, so I can also give you multiple things. Okay, currently I have 3 votes for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So if anybody still is still there and has like a clear preference or whatever else, I might have go to Discord or something, or let me know in the comments. That would also work. Okay, now Sunday is suddenly in the lead. I think Sunday is not a bad day, to be honest. It might be cases where I have like some collaboration on Sunday or so. I like changes here all of a sudden. But yeah, people. I would say slowly wrap it up then. Thank you, people, for liking the video and supporting me all the time. So much appreciated, even though I let you down for some time, to be honest. If you're German speaking, yeah, you will find me often streaming on my German Twitch channel, though. But it will be mostly video games, so there's that. However, I try to become more active here on this channel again and the other stuff, but sometimes it's difficult to get the necessary motivation together to do all these things, and they're all very time consuming, so in this regard it's a bit difficult to find the perfect balance for me. But I think maybe having 1 day a week that is just simply dedicated for, yeah, I do something. That means either I do a kind of a lore stream or I play some game on the English channel, something like that. I think that would not be too bad. Because otherwise, time management wise, it simply won't work currently for me. So there's that. But it's kind of interesting to see that Sunday is a bit in the lead. Okay, some people even voted Wednesday. Wednesday is not it's not an ideal day for me, to be fair, because when I stream English, I most likely would stream in the evening and so on and so forth. Usually Wednesday evening. I have sometimes no time. Currently it worked quite well, but yeah. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, nothing there to thank. Thank you also for your patience with me and so on. Glad that you tuned in again. Yeah, so let's switch it here to the end screen. So thank you again so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the discussion here. And I wish you a good night or a fantastic rest of the day whatever time you watch it. take care, good night. I'm sure we'll figure it out. I hope so. But yeah, we will definitely make it work somehow. I'm also pretty sure of that. Like I said, currently there is not much planned when it comes to some new Tolkien media coming out or anything. As a result, the urgency is not always 100% there. Also, my preview screen kind of goes nuts here, which is a bit strange. But what do I know? However, yeah. Take care, people. And I would say, see you people next time. I end the poll now. And like for the Discord people, I will also post it here in the VoD. Let me just format it in some way I can kind of work with it. That's kind of a stupid thing by YouTube. It doesn't store the poll result. So we had Sunday 37. Most people voted Sunday, interestingly. Which is not, I think, not a bad date for me. Also, when you would have asked me what day would be great, maybe Sunday would not be bad for this kind of stuff. Though there might be some exceptions here and there then. Still might then move there to Saturday or, I don't know, to Thursday or... So Thursday is not that popular, interestingly. Tuesday and Monday are quite more popular, interestingly. So we will figure something out, I think. Thank you for participating. Sleep well and see you people then next there. Just let an ad here at the end running through and then close the stream. So there will be some silence from now on. Technically, most people voted against Sunday. Yeah, John, you are not wrong there. You are not wrong. But yeah, it's of course always difficult to find like a specific date. However, thank you people for watching and see you next time. Goodbye.